I wanted to make a video about art communities. Like a very typical topic to talk about is art school and whether I should go to a school, but I want to talk about communities in general and what they mean because first point of joining a community is why would you want to participate in a community? There has been like a longing for going back to the like in a way where people are talking about the glory days of the internet where conceptart.org was a huge thing and where there was a lot of people who were participating, where that was the only venue online to go and participate in the art community. And people are deeply missing that, but you also kind of have to see that communities have things that they are after, that they, even if it's not an art school in its own right, there are things in the community that the community selects for that other communities would not. So, for instance, in conceptart.org, a way to get approval and to get attention on your sketchbook forum thread was to do photo studies of a high quality, and that will get a ton of attention, and a lot of people commenting about, wow, you're really studying hard and good. And that's great and all, but it also, because it selects for only one or a few kinds of study, that's where you see the people who are going out from that. A lot of people, they will simply just do these studies that are selected for in the community and not engage with themselves to really go beyond the community. And when I talk to artists who are really individuals in their respective expression, the things that they're making are personal to them, and because they have acquired skills that make it so that their art is only theirs because only they can really execute it. They have, of course, participated in communities. I don't think there's any artist who has not been part of a community, but they have made the longest stretch for their own individuality in their artistic expression on their own. It has been that they have used the community to get started, to get inspired, and then they have moved beyond. And I want to read something out from a book that had a huge impact on me, The Art Spirit by Robert Henri. And this is specifically about art schools and education, but also self-education. And it goes, let a student enter the school with this advice. No matter how good the school is, his education is in his own hands. All education must be self-education. Let him realize the truth of this, and no school will be a danger to him. The school is a thing of the period, and it has the faults and the virtues of the period. It either uses the student for its own success or the self-educating student uses it for his success. This is generally true of all schools and the students of our time. It is up to the student whether he becomes a school-made man or whether he uses the school as a place of experience where there are both good and bad advices, where there are strengths and weakness, where there are facilities and much information to be had from the instructors, and much to be gained by association with the other students. He may learn equally from the strong and the weak students. There are models to work from and a place to work in. The self-educator judges his own course, judges advices, judges the evidence about him. He realizes that he is no longer an infant, he is already a man, has his own development in process. No one can lead him. Many can give advices, but the greatest artist in the world cannot point his course, for he is a new man. Just what he should know, just how he should proceed, can only be guessed at. A school should be an offering of opportunity, not a direction, and the student should know that the school will be good for him only to the degree that he makes it good. It is a field for activity where he will see much, hear much, and where he must be a judge, selecting for his special need and daily discovering his need. When we have bred a line of self-educators, there will be then no fear of schools. those who have done distinguished work in the past, who have opened new roadways of vision and invented techniques specific to such visions, have done it in spite of environment. They have learned what the school had to offer, how much and how little. Strengths and weaknesses have alike been material to their progress. Different men must learn different things. Each man must put himself as far as possible in the way of knowing what is known, and he must make his choices. Everything back of him is his heritage to use or to leave. The school is a place of strength and weakness. There are things insisted upon, and there are things omitted. There are all sorts of advices, good and bad, and there are advices that will serve one and not another. The man who goes into a school to educate himself and not to be educated will get somewhere. He should start out a master of such he has, however little that may be. By being a master of such as he has in the beginning, it is likely he may later be a master after years of study of much. He should not enter the school with any preconceived idea of his destiny. In fact, he should be open and free. His aim should be to search deeply and work hard and let the outcome be what it may. The best art the world has ever had is but impress left by men who have thought less of making great art than of living full and completely with all their faculties in the enjoyment of full play. From these, the result is unavoidable. End quote. And I mean, that really says it all, right? But I'm thinking of how I'm seeing a lot of people when they are participating in communities, that they are participating in a way that lets them be used by the community. Where when you are joining a school or you are joining any kind of art sharing forum, be it online or the local life drawing session down by Dennis, you have to go in there with an idea of what are you looking for, what are you expressing, especially when you are putting your work up to be critiqued by others, that you have to clearly figure out for yourself what are you struggling with and what would you like to be helped with. Because if you do not know, and because obviously you're struggling with something, so if you go and you ask for help by just putting your work out there, boom, hey guys, can you and it goes on, and no one replies to it because one, it's very difficult. It's almost impossible to really give advice on something that has no request. There's no anchor where people can give advices to. If it's just a general improvement of the image, then of course you can always be like bam bam bam, you can solve this, you can solve that, but it doesn't really help, especially when you end up in a situation where suddenly you have 15 people who are all giving you different advices, and now suddenly you're making this huge list, and I also have to fix the feet, and then suddenly your priorities are no longer your own. You're not owning the image anymore because you have given it away. When we are asking for advice and when we're joining communities, what we have to be aware of is what's the use of them. Because when we are asking for advice in a manner of, hey, I don't know how to do this, can you guys give me advice on these specific things, then suddenly you are getting somewhere. And it's the same way in art school, but especially in art school because you have a teacher who is now responsible for your learning, and it's, and suddenly you are very busy, you're busy as hell because now you are learning all these things and you are improving. Of course you're improving because you're doing work, and that might be more work than you've ever done before because you haven't had the need to commit to so much work. And now you are being worked like a dog. But is it your own effort? Are you working towards your own goal? What I'm seeing in art students who are participating in great schools, amazing schools, is that there is a tendency for a lot of them to put their faith in the teacher in such a way that they diminish their own drive to move forward, to learn new things. And when you are in the hands of an instructor, it's quite easy to be smitten away by them and then just start doing that work. But you end up not exploring your own need. And then because you're not discovering it every day, what do I need to work on? And you're working from personal point, you kind of get pushed away from the thing that you might eventually do if you had just allowed yourself to be with yourself. Because when we are with ourselves, right, and that might be the hardest struggle, but that's also the reward of painting, that we are certainly able to communicate with ourselves on a new basis because we have this medium to put our emotions into. When we are working with ourselves, then when we're asking for help, it's specific. It's how do I solve this problem? And I'm repeating this point over and over again because I find it quite important. We have to, at the outset of any critique at all, put up the boundaries of what the critique is going to be about. And when you're joining a community and you have no idea of your direction, then you might not gain as much at all from participating that you might gain if you were instead just alone working and struggling with the things that you are struggling with at this moment. That might be the most wonderful exercise you could do. So I would suggest at the end of all this to look at the communities that you're in and looking at how are they benefiting me, or are they, as the book said, are they using you to just be a product of the community, be it art school or an internet forum. And how is the support being given? Are people actually commenting on each other's work in a way that is both supportive but also helpful, like you can push further? I mean, I think the best kind of community is just a bunch of guys sitting around a circle. Like if it's just a table and everyone's going on the table saying, yeah, that's the good stuff. You don't need a community of critique. What you like, communities are for support, and we should enjoy them for being that. And then we can take that support and we go into, the wild of ourselves, and we come back and we say, look, I found all these wonderful things. And so I hope that you will go and enjoy your search, be it in a group or alone. Thanks for listening.